No, we planned to do another one. We
We
didn't think.
we don't plan anything. We just kind of say we were gonna potentially do something, and then eventually
No,
something
no,
else
we
happens.
decided we were going there, and then you were like, "No, I'm gonna go meet Nasana."
I feel like I followed suit with everything the party does. We say we're gonna do something and then do something totally different. I just kept this in line with what we normally do, and everyone got mad at me for it.
The
So
only
fuck
follow
you
suit you
guys.
did was
You,
continue to fuck
you
up
guys are
plans.
you guys are hypocritical. Fuck you guys. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead. I'll digress. I'm good. I'm excited. This is
No,
gonna be good.
I went live already. I just wanted
I was like,
everybody else
Yeah,
to
that
I
see
that's
was,
what the
what
finger
actually
guns were.
happens. This is
Oh,
the
that's
I
party.
was,
fantastic.
I was hoping you went live.
Yeah, I was hoping too. This is gold.
This is
I'm
this
just sitting back eating. I'm just sitting back eating magical popcorn.
dude. It's awesome. Hold on, Caldrum. Did you see my campfire chat? You don't have to respond to it
I
now.
did.
See it. Okay.
I did. I was
Okay.
going
You
to
don't have to respond to it
respond to
now,
it later on.
but eventually. All right. Anyways,
All right.
Carl's the
Welcome
host.
to Echo Chamber, the session in between sessions. Starting off with Reed and Warwick fighting about something. I don't know what that was. What's going on? There's
It's not
I
really a
feel
fight.
like DM wise, this is perfect. Like he's
Yeah.
got this party dissension going on. He's fighting a emotional and mental battle with the party without having to do too much because they're kind of turning inwards on themselves right now. What's going
Oh,
on?
it's not really a fight if he's wrong.
The Phandalin Five is a real big bad all along.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I kept this on track of what we normally do. Now, what was it a good call? Maybe not. Was it slightly selfish? Not as much as everyone thinks it was, but that's okay. I stand behind my decision and I am 100% comfortable with it. I'm okay with it. I'm good. I'm good. See, here's really what I was hoping was going to happen, right? I thought after the battle and that questioning, I thought we were going to get a little deeper into actually trusting everyone. And then during that battle, I was hoping we were actually going to kill Nasana so I can hopefully get Reed out of whatever shit he has gotten himself dealed into without having the party know too much about it. But well, that plan got fucked by our DM, which is great. So
See, that's the problem when you keep secrets. Like they eventually come out and bite you.
I mean, it didn't bite me. I wanted to fight Nasana, and I made
Bite
that
you as a
clear.
whole, bite the party.
Oh well, I mean, you could thank our rope for that, our burrowing rope.
I think I'd
Me?
thank both of you, to be
Yeah,
honest. So
probably. No, Warwick's been very upfront with all of his
Listen, as
dealings.
far as you guys know, Reed just wasn't gonna fight Nasana.
Oh, I
He
know,
helped you with everything else, just
dude.
not Nasana.
The questioning though, I was. Anyways, I'm gonna digress. You guys ask questions. I'll
up
pipe in.
front, I'll clarify. Up front and honest is different from telling someone after the fact, and I think that's the difference, and that's what Caldrum and everybody is saying is you can't just go make those plans and concoct these different scenarios and stuff without talking to them because then they're seeing that as distrust.
What wasn't I honest about though?
It's
Because
not honest. It's not honest. So you're confusing
what
two
did
separate
what was
things. They can be both be true. You can be honest and upfront, but you're making a plan before talking to the party. You're
what
you're
did
you're taking action and then you're coming back and saying, "Oh, by the way, Felgolos told me this, so here's what I decided to do."
what did
Yeah, you're just
didn't
dragging us along in your concoction of
well okay.
plans,
So
using us as pawns,
the
essentially.
only thing that I've actually done is I've gathered information from a few different people, and the
But
Nasana thing.
then you've
I,
talked to
I put
Asmaroth, you've talked to Nasana,
up,
you got these little tendrils out here moving without talking to the party first, and that's where Caldrum's distrust comes in. That's
okay.
where Griswold gets frustrated because then Reed does the same thing with his Nasana stuff, and Grizz gets pissy because he feels that the party can't trust each other. Hey, I'm defending you here, fucker. He gets
Yeah,
pissy because the party can't trust each other, and he doesn't think it's a righteous path.
and I think my defense of that is two things. A, I brought up the Nasana thing like 4 sessions ago. I told you my plan straight out. I told you I was going to talk to Osmaroth, which I have not yet. I was very open about it. It just happened to happen quicker than we anticipated. But I was very upfront and honest and asked for help. First off, second off, if I brought up every bit of like little string and questioning or bits of information that I'm trying to get from people, we're already scatterbrained as it is and don't know what to do. So if I told you guys every bit of information I'm trying to get from people, I feel like that's just going to put us in a downward spiral everywhere.
Are you trying to Stockholm syndrome me right now? Are you trying to tell me that I'm wrong?
I mean, I'm trying to say it's information gathering. You take with it what you will.
Yeah, the problem is nobody has that information. You're like, okay, yeah, I told you I was going to meet with Nasana, but instead of like planning it out, we just kind of walked there.
I didn't. Hold on. Did I say I was actually going to meet with her?
Yeah. But you told us that after you already contacted her.
Okay. I mean, after the fact, okay. I agree with it like 50%. We can agree to disagree somewhat. That's just Warwick's character.
Teach their own. I'm just explaining it to you where the party's coming from, because I don't think that was kind of brought out. I think the zone of truth happened, and I agree with Keegan here that, you know, maybe some additional questioning and stuff might have helped alleviate some of that fuckery, we'll call it. Go for it, Ev.
Maybe.
Grizz is like, we're ready to fucking do
Since
this.
we're talking about the speech, the thaumaturgy was actually pretty dope. Not gonna lie, Keldrum, walking in there at 2 a.m, like especially after the other two had been drinking, that was actually pretty funny. This is pretty good.
I was
Not
too
gonna lie.
drunk to be impressed. I'm not gonna lie.
And
I was impressed.
I was drunkenly performing.
Oh.
Much better than my dancing. Surprise.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Go ahead, Ev.
I have a question in my thought. Did you get the information? Did Keldrum get the information he was searching for?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
So my thought, when we started questioning, I thought that was slightly going to go differently, because I thought we were going to ask a lot of other questions, and I think this is more of a group thing as well. Maybe not just necessarily Keldrum, but I'm curious if you had gotten what you needed. I had thought we were going to ask a lot of questions. It's kind of like one of those, like, hey, we're at an AA meeting and we're all just going to share certain things and open up, which didn't necessarily happen. My question on so as you saw, Griswold would basically say that if we can't trust each other, and that, you know, then we might as well not be together. And that's why I push the fact of, did we get the warm and fuzzy? From Keldrum's perspective, you mentioned that the only person you kind of trust right now is Amrook. Was that right? Like kind of?
Yeah, Amrook and Griswold to an extent.
Okay, that makes it a little bit. That makes, when you had said just Amrook, my question, like from a cleric perspective, because clerics are typically like on the good side of things, I had a hard time understanding how Keldrum would stay with the party if he just didn't trust anyone, because you're not chaotic evil.
Greater good.
He it's not that he doesn't trust the group. He doesn't trust the group when it comes to Nasana. There's a difference.
It's just that one situation.
Yeah.
I have a hard time understanding that.
Every other aspect, the party has not shown any distrust towards Keldrum. But there's so many questionable acts and things that have happened with not just Warwick and Reed, with the party. I mean, with everybody. It's just with everybody. And he right now is, listen, he actually wants to get the book back probably just as much as Siddle, for different reasons.
You're the big bad. I called it. Bad. My tinfoil hat called it.
I am the big bad. But that's the thing. Like, that's the thing is every other instance. Every other instance, nobody has showed any other reason why Keldrum should distrust anybody else, and under any other circumstance, except for when it comes to Nasana. And that's why he's done. He will probably eventually try to go after Nasana, but with somebody else, a different group, whatever, because he wants the book back too.
It's like
Well,
knowing your dog will attack birds and then not wanting to take it to a bird sanctuary.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
See,
Like
in
you'll
my
take them
mind,
everywhere else, just
Yeah.
not to the birds.
Right.
I
See-
like that. That's a good one.
That's a great analogy.
in my mind, and so when it comes down to a simplistic one as that, I would certainly agree. Um, but we know Nasana at least, and unless Garrett slipped up and was fibbing, Garrett, I think you mentioned she had access to 7th and 8th level spells, which means she is like super high level caster, at least 4 or 5 levels above us. So more than likely she can wipe the floor by herself, wipe the floor with this by herself, more than likely.
Mhm.
In my mind, if you don't trust us with, and I'm not looking for an argument here, it's just how I think about it. Since she is such like that kind of a player and that high of a power level, if you can't trust us with that, how can you trust us with other things that might be lower than that? So like I would say that going to talk to the stone giants probably not as difficult as battling her. So if you can't trust us with evil like that, how could you trust us with other things? Because you're always going to be looking, because one of the comments you made was you're always going to worry about watching your back.
Because
Um,
she's the corruption. She's the corruption, not the players. The players aren't the corruption. She's the
Oh,
corruption.
To a
okay.
point, I think what they're trying to say is,
Interesting.
if you're friends with someone and all of a sudden they screw you over, well, you're going to have a resistance towards them or trusting them in the future. But I think over time, because the greater good, you start to build that back. You say, okay, listen,
Yeah.
you fucked me over. I'm going to give you a second chance. We're going to go on to this. If you fuck me over again, that's it. And
will
that's
kill you.
kind of where it's at. So
I would love if Caltrip just banished someone from the party just to do it. I think it'd be hilarious. Just like, no, time out.
Yeah,
Go
it's,
sit in the corner.
Okay, not
It'd be
gonna
funny as
lie.
hell.
Not gonna lie. I was gonna do that.
I would
To who?
Ashley to Althea in the middle of the fight.
because she got brought back up and we didn't know why.
Well, no. When she went down
Ooh.
initially, I thought they were actually going to go to coup de grace her, and it's one of those things where I could have healed her, brought her back up, but we see what happens when you only get healed to like 6 hit points. You go right back
Oh.
down.
Right.
Wow.
So banish to
So-
save. Interesting.
I was going to when she went down to 0, I was going to banish her so that nobody could get to her.
Caldrum, Eric, I have never thought about using banishment as a protection spell. That is badass.
See, when she went down, I thought Nasana might try to take a party member,
Yeah, it was
and that
somewhere
was
around there.
I was going to use that as the trade for the fur as well.
Yeah.
Like instead of getting whatever I get,
Mhm.
request the party member back.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
allow me to throw 2 things in here. One, I want to go back to something Evan said. I did say she had access to 8th and 9th level spells. I will also confirm that was a scare tactic, and will not confirm whether or not you've seen everything or not she has to offer. So don't let that go down as solid, and you guys are scared.
That's bullshit, Garrett.
Definitely 7th level for sure. We know that.
I mean, it could have been a scroll. It could have been something from a deity. There's many options there. You can't make assumptions.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But when he says she has access to, I just, I start thinking of, potentially higher level. So, I mean, but it was good. It was good.
The other thing I want to throw out there is I debated a lot stealing a party member, trying to justify the who and the why and the how, but it was a possibility.
That would have been hilarious.
I would have loved it. Take Grizz. Grizz is the new Frank. I'm just kidding. We like Grizz. We lose Grizz, we're fucked. Like
Yeah,
no,
you
I
should
think
talk
all
about
the
that. Why do you say that?
You guys would be fine. You guys would be fine.
we don't have a tank. There is not outside of Amrook, potentially with your health. I don't think there's anybody who could take a hit from a giant, 3 hits from a giant, and live outside of Amrook and definitely Griswold. Outside of that, I take 3 hits. I'm dead. Reed's dead. Caldrum, assuming he can get away.
Well, I
Yeah.
can have damage
Right.
for the
If we're going
first
up
one.
against like one giant, yeah, can we take him? No problem. But if we get into a
Well, even-
situation where we're fighting like 3, 4, or there's some ranged and there's some giants,
That's
Even
funny
with
because
Grizz,
didn't you guys
though,
want to go to the forge up northeast where we would have fought like 12 giants at once?
I was gonna
threw
say
it out as
even
an
with
idea.
Grizz,
Looking
just
into it, not actually going up there.
even with Grizz, I mean, I don't think he helps that much, even with a group of them, because sure he takes hits from like
Ow.
2 of them, but like they
Ow.
target him because they
He's
throw
not saying
stuff.
that as a
No,
negative there,
I'm
Grizz.
just kidding.
He's saying it's above our weight class in general. It doesn't matter with or without you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was just kidding. But yeah, no. I
He gives us like an extra turn order if there's more than like one.
Mhm.
yeah.
Which is sometimes all we need. I think without
It-
him, they target our ranged target, probably Amrook first, and he's the majority of our damage against at least giants. Outside of that, we have ranged people, and all it takes is one well placed boulder.
Yeah, but
And
Grizz is kind of hindered if they're spread out. Grizz is
Yeah.
kind of hindered in that fact anyway because they also have range. So it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
it's not like aiming at us is any different than trying to kill Grizz.
Right, but if you look at it from the perspective of front line, back line, midline, like it's kind of that's the purpose. That's how that works. They give you that extra turn so that you can do the damage, assuming that you're not tunneling and you're actually doing the damage.
Assuming I can see them.
yeah, I think it's,
They
it's
were
hard to
hiding in
battle 'cause
trees.
I'm not
Where's that
judging you
salt?
for that fight. I'm just saying, scenario wise, that's how it would work out.
Where's
It-
that salt? Let's just keep. Where's that salt?
is hard to is the situations that we're in fighting giants. I think that without a true tank, it's not going to go well for them.
It's so funny because the advent of video games and RPGs, for instance, WoW, really brought into D&D the mindset of you need to have a tank, you need to have a healer, you have to have DPS. It's not necessarily always the case in D&D.
Sure.
Because you can always find other ways to do battle. I've had a group that it was a paladin and 2 rogues. So it was piss healing and somewhat tanking. No upfront. I mean, like, I take that back. One of the rogues was a melee kind of rogue. The other one was a back. No, it wasn't a rogue. It was a rogue and a sorcerer. That's what it was. So I mean, the concept of you have to have a tank, you have to have melee DPS, range DPS, and crowd control and healer and all that. It is kind of to me like a new way of thinking, sort of thing, because there's been a lot of times we've always played and it was like, oh, no one wants to be a cleric. That's kind of how I kind of fell into the role of like loving to play clerics is because no one wanted to play a cleric, and it's like to me they're one of the best classes.
I love clerics. Like I highly considered like once we create a new campaign and all this kind of stuff, how I can create a pretty cool cleric. I don't know, just throwing out a few ideas or keeping a few things in the bank. But yeah, I think on top of that, just knowing Storm King Thunder and knowing that our DM is trying to destroy the party again without Grizz.
I go back to what I originally said,
Thank you.
that we are turning in on ourselves. This has nothing to do with DM destroying the party. And I'm gonna throw it out there. G has said he is the Phandalin 5's biggest fangirl, but
True.
at the same time, when we do stupid things, he's gonna slap us for it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He's just
Hey, I'm not trying to turn you on each other. I think Eric said it best. Nasana is the corruption. There are characters within the game that are trying to turn the party against each other and destroy the party. Some are trying to do it with big old rocks. Some are trying to do it with head games. But a lot's going on. Party's being attacked from all fronts, and you guys are, for good or bad, legends within the land. You are well known, and everyone's going for the men at the top at this point.
I like it.
Yep.
I'm excited. Kind of.
So I want to dig a little deeper into this. Ev, explain to me why Grizz would leave based on not getting the warm fuzzies when he knows that that more good can be done by sticking through the hard times and not just bailing.
Yeah, it's more of a, if we can't trust each other, then how far are we going to make it? And we're really just we're going to sit and die before we can really do anything. Originally, it looked like we had good trust, and we could, because at this point we're fighting well above our weight class, as we've all said. And if we can't rely on every single person, we're going to die. We've all agreed upon that in some form or another. And my thought, or Griswold's thought, is really that, well, if we can't trust in this party, we're just going to die a lot quicker, and we're not going to be able to accomplish anything. So we can go and do, try other means of accomplishing some of these goals. And that's really what it comes down to, is, survival rate at this point, because we're walking into a dragon's den and we can't trust the party. We're going to die.
Can't save the world if you're all dead, right?
And that's really the mentality. It's more of his focus is still the greater good, 100%. But if there's a better way of staying alive and accomplishing that, then that's what he's got to do.
On the flip side of that, Keegan, would be you can't defend the world if you're dead, but what kind of world are you defending by yourself? Like, if the world goes to shit because you didn't take on what you needed to, then is it worth living? It's kind of like Reed's short game of, the Nasana thing. That was short game. I think Reed has a bigger long game plan there that we just don't know yet.
Sure.
Well, who says that Griswold's going to do it by himself? I mean, I have ties with the Lord's Alliance and things like that. It certainly wouldn't have been doing it by myself, but
let's be honest, the Phandalin Phive is going to take out everybody, so it doesn't matter.
Hey,
including ourselves.
You're forgetting.
Yes, including ourselves. Including ourselves.
The Copper Dozen or the Copper 12 or something, right?
Yeah.
Copper Dozen's dead.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Back to life. Fuck them. Or we can create like the Bronze 7. I don't know.
Go ahead, what'd you have?
Yeah, it's kind of like the Fellowship of the Ring, right? You have all these characters. Some don't trust one another. I mean, Boromir, for example, is prime example.
Is Reed? Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's one of those things where they all went into battle when they're fighting against goblins and orcs and all that. They were good, but when it comes to the ring, there's corruption there that causes the quote unquote mistrust, and it's not an overall mistrust. It's during that one instance, and I don't think I think mistrust is maybe not the word. It's not having. I don't know. I don't sense like. I don't know how to explain it. Like Chamb3r, it doesn't like he doesn't trust anybody. He does. He even trusts Reed to a point because he knows that when it comes to life and death on the line, Reed's going to protect himself, and he knows that in order for Reed to protect himself, he needs to protect everybody else, because if everybody else dies,
didn't Reed burrow out of a cave?
Exactly.
He just in a tree.
However,
there were pears.
Let's go into the Marvel world and go into the dimension of the 45th dimension, where we all died in that battle except for Reed, and then all of a sudden everybody's coming after Reed.
Ooh.
And
Interesting thought.
I mean, sure, you could have rezzed me, but I had just gotten eaten by.
Reed.
I think I took 59
yeah.
points of damage, and I had 62 points of health.
I do that on a daily basis. Griswold's ready to touch.
Reed doesn't have healing potions.
Griswold,
Hey,
Griswold's ready to touch your penis.
The ironic thing is I don't think any of us have healing potions now, because I think everybody was was a little upset about Papa Bear Caldrum, that we're kind of like let's just get going. Let's just get going. We don't want to piss Dad off anymore.
Exactly. We were heading to the beach, with or without the beach chairs.
Yeah, we didn't have the beach chairs.
Exactly.
And during that fight where I ran away, we wanted to fight them, but we didn't want to go down.
Right.
So I instigated for a solid 5 minutes against this thing to get it to come up and fight us.
I think we'll take a second to acknowledge. I think that burrowing out and self-savior is different from other members of the party, and I think that does create that mistrust in other areas as well. Like Grizz, I think Caldrum would lay his line down or his life down for any member of the party. He would, and nobody gets that vibe from Reed. So when does that arc come over? And I'm not saying that maybe eventually Reed won't make that decision. I'm just saying currently that's kind of where it's at. Then that creates that mistrust.
So it's initially self-preservation to maintain being able to protect people. If I burrow and nobody chases me, I can come up a turn order later somewhere else, make sure, go back down, and not be. You don't have to waste a spell slot on. Like, you don't have to protect me. I'm self-preserving.
Fair point.
It's the same thing as Althea ducking and hiding. Is to me is what it is.
To an extent, I agree, but yeah, it's just more of a feeling, and anybody else can chime in here. It's more of a feeling when you don't see Reed for a couple rounds, where it's kind of like, where's our backup? What's going on here? And that just kind of strikes, I think, other members of the party.
As character, yeah, it could be definitely be like
frustrating.
Yeah, like where do you go?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as players, I understand
exactly, and that's what I'm trying to say. As a player, I get your point, Ryan.
Yeah.
As a character, I think characters would look around and say, we were fighting this, right? Like what the hell? And I think that
Reed does so
creates
much damage.
the can we trust this guy to like save our asses, or is he just going to save his own? Or can we trust this guy to not put us in a shitty situation, or is he making decisions for the party without talking? You know, those two factors, I think, are what created that whole issue last time.
Yeah, and for reference to the Nasana thing, like Reed's plan is to eventually get enough information and or weapons to maybe one day actually be able to fight her. But at this point, he knows there's no point in even trying to retaliate because it's just death.
I want to dig into Reed's backstory so bad.
It's not deep.
So bad.
Like I told you, Reed's a thief at heart. So he'll manipulate and try to get what he wants.
I don't want to close out the therapy session early, but moving on to other pieces. So decided not to go to Mirabar and use the fast travel. I feel like we kind of breezed over the fact that we were riding these majestic beasts because, again, going back to we got to get to the beach.
How would I have a question for you, Amrook? Was Amrook relieved that we decided to use the Griffins to get there instead of fast traveling, or was it whatever, we'll figure it out?
There's definitely a sense of relief there. Emmerich is not ready to face those things, is not ready to go there, but that comes back to the I'll give my life for the party, and that's his mentality. He's loyal. He'll lay down his life. Potentially, because there's no way out of that. Well,
You don't want
there's
to battle the
very
Maraschino
very few.
Jerry. It's not the Marchion. It's the Maraschino Jerry. Just
Maraschino chair.
and if
He-
Griswold ever meets him, because Griswold isn't the smartest, he's gonna call him the Maraschino Jerry and probably get us all killed. Just I'm setting that scene right now.
To be fair, I don't think we've called 90% of the characters their real name. I know Reed hasn't.
Douche.
Also, I say we vote on not naming our griffins because every time we name something, it dies.
Hey, Adrin and Amrook have two named horses that are still
Yep,
alive in
still
Tribor
alive.
as far as we're
Yep.
concerned.
Swift and I can't remember the other one's name.
I have to look at my notes. I know it's Amrook's mother's name, but I can't remember.
Wow, that's rude. Garrett, from your perspective, and maybe I don't know if you can answer this because we might end up doing this, but I'm going to ask you anyways. If you just had to give us a difficulty of us going to Mirabar, well, not difficulty. How likely would it have been that we would have been discovered? And again, that's probably pushing the lines of what you can answer, but I'm curious
It's also
because
a little random because it's going to be based on dice, right?
It is
Well,
entirely based on dice.
okay.
Although
Well,
I will make an educated guess here.
Griswold's a
considering-
disadvantage, by the way.
Considering the skills that you guys have, the capabilities, the knowledge, the background, the understanding, it should be about a 2. It will actually be about an 8 based on the way you apply those things as far as difficulty goes on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
This group is anything but stealthy at any given time.
Yep.
You guys are worried about the stealth there. You didn't necessarily have to be stealthy. Like, we're going in. You just have to be disguised and convincing. It had nothing to do with stealth.
That's what I meant by stealth, I should say. Inconspicuous. That's the better word.
Yeah.
This group does not do inconspicuous.
Which means Griswold isn't a disadvantage for
Exactly.
anything. By the way,
Wait.
Amrook's at disadvantage for any stealth as well. So, I mean, but I think you have to take stealth out of it. Yeah.
Grizz is a disadvantage for inconspicuous.
Exactly. That's my thing. Do you want me to be? Griswold will be the face of the party.
Put a little hat
100%.
mustache on his tiger.
Is Warwick the one with the disguise kit, or was that?
thought it
There
was
are about
Warwick.
3 disguise kits within the
Yeah.
party, but only 1 hat of disguise.
Yeah, I have a hat of disguise kit, and then know somebody who can disguise us all. So we have plenty of ways of getting into Mirabar.
Yeah, so I think it could have been done. I personally do. We just had to put our best foot forward.
Yeah, the only problem is I mean, I think I don't remember if we talked about this afterwards, but the fact that the Phandalin Phive is kind of famous now, and I'm sure the Maraschino Cherry knows knows that Amrook is part of the Phandalin Phive.
Yes.
If we go stomping into town and any one of us is recognized, it's going to
true.
be, oh, the Phandalin Phive is here.
Yeah.
That means Amrook must be nearby.
Yeah, but I think that could have been, discussed beforehand if we decided to go
Yeah.
that route and said, listen, no mention of the Phandalin 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mariana Trench would have really.
Somebody would have fucked up and said Phandalin 5, guaranteed.
Griswold.
100%.
There's no doubt Griswold.
Yeah,
There's
but
no
nonetheless,
question.
we avoided it. It was a good questioning line of, hey,
No.
what would happen here if you did get caught, if we got
That
caught?
was Griswold. That was
Right,
Griswold.
so I
Good
give
job.
him full. That was good. That's the way we should approach the sharing of information on a regular basis.
Amrook got a little snippy with me, and Griswold almost cried. Just so you
I know Evan
Gris-
cried a little bit there. I saw tears in the stream. I went back and checked. I was like, was I that big of an asshole? No, I was just Amrook's
No,
not
you were.
ready to talk about it,
Nope.
and Grizz just took offense.
Nope.
I think his
Nope.
feelings were previously hurt, and so it was just one of those things, like when
No.
when a woman gets a little, but anyway,
What
Go
are you
ahead.
saying? What are you saying?
I'm just saying sometimes, hormones are imbalanced and you
Oh,
get a little
okay.
emotional.
Oh,
And I think that
is that
was
what we're
Grizz's
pulling here?
problem. He's
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, is that it?
It's
Is that it?
Griswold's time of
Oh,
the month.
is that it? Okay.
Hey, G, check out what I posted in the D&D chat. Go to 4 minutes, 17 seconds in that video. That's what I'm thinking about in terms of a shield, BT dubs, just something a little slimmer.
Oh, Keegan's back on this.
That can fit.
That's
You'll
essentially
understand.
a buckler.
And I've already explained the character. You
So,
understand
so
what I'm trying to do.
speaking,
That's the idea.
so
Anyways,
speaking of Keegan's description, as a tangent here, Keegan, I have to admit, you describing this and trying to work with this dwarven whoever and being like, well, I want it this way and contracting. I'm like, I had no idea what the fuck
I
you were
got my
doing.
point across.
All right.
I got my point across. That's all that matters.
It,
I
It
was
was-
afraid you were looking for Iron Man nanotech
Yeah.
expansion whenever the way you were describing this thing.
I
And
mean,
what I was giving you is probably something more similar to old school cardboard.
man,
I just want to make that purely out of wood and leftover plants and everything like that. Completely sorry about it. Yeah, no, definitely something like that. Whatever material, adamantine. I don't want adamantine. Fuck that. But you get what I'm saying.
Gotcha,
That's
I
it.
got you.
That's the idea. Anyways, I just need it small enough for reasons. But sorry, don't mean to digress. Continue.
Nope, okay.
how does everyone feel about us actually getting closer to the eye, and how comfortable do we feel about actually making it there?
I think Emrook and Warwick are on the same point of very uncomfortable that it is out of our reach. But there's a little bit of, Dad just yelled at us. Let's go ahead and see what happens. And then there's a little bit of, okay, we need to build the future and the trust within the party. So, in this instance, Caldrum's taking the lead. Let's follow.
Hey, Harshipu's going to be there, so we'll be all right.
I think from Warwick's standpoint, he's happy someone's just making a decision. Like he made a decision with Desana and we went with it. Make a decision to go to the Eye of the Allfather. If it works out, it does. Cool. If not, at least we're doing something instead of throwing around 15 different ideas and eventually going with the 20th one. You know what I mean? As for Caldrum yelling, I think he's more focused on figuring out what Nasana has up her sleeve than really worrying too much about him coming in saying, I don't trust you guys, and then walking out. I think he expected a little more questioning. He was before this battle even happened, he was, going to sit down with Caldrum and have this open conversation. And then Nasana just happened a lot quicker. So I think he expected a little more. And now he's just focusing on, we're going on
Let's all take.
We think this could work. Let's see if it does. If not, where are we going to go after this?
So
Let's
how
all
does
take a
Zone of
little-
Truth work? Like, is it just the person that casts that asks the questions that nobody can lie to, or anybody in that circle just can't tell a lie? So anybody could have asked questions, anybody could have thrown information out there that we would have known was the truth, or just
I didn't have to be the only one asking questions.
Yeah, you can lie, but the only person that knows you lied would have been Caldrum.
Well, he shared that from the beginning that everybody, is telling the truth.
Actually, I think with Zone of Truth, you can't lie. Like if you fail, you cannot specifically tell a lie. If you beat around the bush, different story. But you cannot say that 2 + 2 is 5 because that's wrong.
You gotta Jim carry it.
Unless you succeed on your save, and then even then you can lie, but only the person that casts a spell knows that you succeeded and can lie. So basically, he knows whether you're Jim Carrey or faking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But everyone, any questions you ask, I mean, it is a zone of truth once that happens. Any questions asked, anything you speak, anything you say has to be the truth if you failed to anybody.
If Grizz wanted more line of questioning or Warwick wanted more line of questioning, what's to stop any of the times that we've stopped and taken camp for the night of just recasting and saying, hey, let's get some more information out there. Hey, let's ask some questions. Cast Zone of Truth.
I think for Warwick it wasn't. I'm comfortable where we're at, but with somebody else in the party asking questions and expressing their. But again, distrust is the wrong word, but I don't know another word for it, so we'll just say distrust. But I get where you're going. Expressing distrust, I think it was more of ask your questions so we can alleviate that. I'll answer anything you need to help you. I'm fine where I'm at, so I really don't need to. I started asking questions and was hoping it was going to build off from others in the party to alleviate where their distrust or mistrust or wherever could have been was lying. But when it ended so quickly, it was must not be that important. Let's
But
go
like I
ahead.
said, it's not that they question what you're saying, it's that they question the plans that are being made without their involvement. So
Sure.
it's not, and you can't ask questions about that because how am I going to ask a question about your future plans?
Yeah.
Well, if they could be future plans, but if they're already being planned, you can certainly ask about what do you have, what else do you have up your sleeve, what else are you doing? And with somebody who's forthcoming, surely they'll answer that, right? They can't say I don't have anything planned or I'm not working on anything because that's an intentional lie. They could say, yeah, I have other things planned for this and this reason. So you can certainly ask about it if you
Oh,
have
cool.
ideas that they're working on
Sure.
something else.
Fair point. Fair point.
But no, I mean, I'm cool with it, but that's why Warwick, reached out to Caldrum and say, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Let's squash this and get to the root of it. Let's show the team that we can trust each other regardless of the situation and hopefully, you know, bring that strength back to the team because that's what we need. I mean, it's we can do
So
anything.
in this
As
case, is Warwick the VP or is Caldrum? I'm a little confused on the hierarchy here, and I just want Garrett to know how that's going to work. That's all.
oh, Warwick's a Warwick will help. He'll try to make decisions, but yeah, I have no problem making a decision and people not being okay with it as long as we're moving forward and figuring shit out. Because I actually think we gained a lot of information from the Nasana fight, right? I mean, it didn't exactly go how we wanted it to, but we gathered how powerful she truly was, right? So that kind of puts in perspective where she might be in that pecking order and what she might be up to because of how powerful she is, right? So now it's time to go to the Eye of the Allfather and see what other information we can get. Well, I'm fine as long as we're moving forward, making decisions. Warwick will take the blame if it doesn't go well. Does not care. Let's move forward.
Fair enough. Good points.
Yeah. I like it. Warwick's gonna die eventually. Come on, one of you guys are gonna fucking kill him, or Nasana, or somebody else. I don't know, but that's okay. Anyways, go G. You're excited. Wheels
No,
are
I
turning.
was just gonna say I'm not excited actually. I want to throw one little thing out there that's been weighing on me since the weekend, and I'll give it to you. So I have coming into that battle, I knew one way or the other, depending on however it resolved, it was going to be frustrating for you. But I, as DM, biffed a little bit, and I have to apologize. I soured it just a hair. I should have given you the how do you want to do this moment with Nasana, and I was so worried about the description that I forgot to do it. That wasn't intentional by any means, and I feel like it would have risen the excitement a little bit with the defeat more, and then made the follow up more of a letdown. But I killed you guys. I minimized your ability to have that success, and I apologize that I biffed on that one. It'd been a while since I'd had a how do you want to do this moment. So my apologies for that. It wasn't intentional.
I don't think
I
there's anybody on this screen right here that would have believed that Nasana was actually dead.
Well,
So
and
I
that
think you're okay.
agree. I want to. Yeah, as soon as like she hopped in plain view, and I think I can't remember what it was. I think Nasana
Griswold took the bait like an idiot.
no, you actually you proved so much to us because you jumped in and you went to go hit her, and Garrett, I think you said she just takes it and smiles, and I'm like, oh, she's
Uh-huh.
fucking with us now. We know she's not going to die. Something's going to happen. As soon as you gave that little hint away, I'm like, well, there goes that battle.
But I do also want to point out the end part. So no matter the frustration that was going on, so previous session, I knew Eric was frustrated. But then if we look at that end series of events, that last two rounds where Siddle's moving here to position himself for counterspell, Warwick's here to counterspell the mage, like that was pretty impressive. The line of things that happened, the way they happened, so that she couldn't get away, and we were successful. We fought as a well-oiled team at that point. without even having these conversations. So I think
It was
I think
good.
we need to not minimize and enjoy that victory for a little bit.
I am going to peel back the DM curtain here a little bit more. That was brilliant. I didn't give you guys enough credit for that. Your positioning, your movement, what you kept in the reserve for that specific combo. I specifically had her pop up where it was not because of the not entirely because of the cockiness and the exposure, but knowing that the mage was right there who had ready to spell if the attack happens. So there was a little combo that had been negotiated behind the scenes that should have made it more difficult and given her this like air of bravado and untouchability. And because of your minimization and your inability to, because of what you guys did, it minimized the crap out of that. It was super effective. Very well played on your part. There were a couple nasties coming out.
Yeah.
So I think that goes back to the trust. The trust in battle, I think, is there, Nasana or not. We just have to get over those few minor points and know that we're all working towards the same goal. So I get the warm and fuzzies, Grizz. I'm sorry if you don't. I'd still stick with the team and lay down, my axe, but I'll leave that for you.
No, I do. That's clarifying it. Everyone's roles. It seemed like everyone's on. We're getting back in the same book when we RP. We're getting back in the same book. In fighting, sure, yes, that was the last battle we did play really well, but we'll get back in the same book. I have a question for Garrett, and I wish Ashley were here. But Garrett, you may be able to answer this one. So, Ashley likes to hide and come out and shoot people, as would a rogue. She got flanked hard.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure you warned her about that. Has she had conversations with you about that? And do you think her play style might change after? Because she got killed, got back up, killed again, fireballed. I don't know what else.
Don't blame that Chimp. That was by mistake. Okay, I didn't even know she was there. Okay.
I didn't say accident or not. I just said she got fireballed. All right. So, and this is not picking. I'm just asking because it was 3 or 4 rounds that got back up, killed, got back up, but because she got flanked.
Great question, and I've been waiting for this for a long while. There's never been an opportunity to flank, and I can't do it without my knowledge as DM knows she's going to hide back. The opponent's knowledge, not necessarily. There was never a true opportunity to flank. This one, it was very specifically catered that way, not because of her, but just because of the battlefield that was chosen, the approach, and the way the battle came out. Flanking was preset and intended. Althea was going to be the one that I expected to be the most impacted by that, and I was curious how it would play out, and it did exactly as I expected. And in-game, you could see at the end there, a little bit of fear. Didn't know where to go. A little bit of this mouse in a cage of where do I actually hide as a character. Out of game, I've talked to her a little bit about it, and she's laughed it off or made some jokes about it, but I don't know how that's going to affect her yet and how she's going to change the way she plays. I'm expecting she's going to engage a lot harder moving forward into the battlefield and then hide in the middle of the group. I kind of expect her to follow and mimic the group closer than she has in the past and not think of it as a linear approach anymore on the battlefield, but more a surrounding warfare is everywhere approach. I think that's my expectation. But
Chamb3r kind of learned something from this battle too because of Althea. Sometimes Carl and Evan talk about the greater good sometimes, and I think that hurt Chamb3r in the end because he was trying to position himself to heal Althea as opposed to trying to A, protect himself, and B, protect the rest of the group. And those last 2-3 rounds, I think and it's one of those things where after it's kind of like, you know what, I'll deal with her after. It's to the point where I'll deal with her after the battle. I have the rest of the people to worry about.
Exactly, and that's when things started to like really click and snowball, and
You have raise dead that allows you to raise someone after 10 days pending a few things, correct? Now,
And
mind you, they have
also-
a penalty.
I also have gentle repose
repose.
too.
Yeah. So you could still do it. Now, mind you, if they have a severed limb or other things happen, that certainly there's certain restrictions. But
Mhm.
if someone just goes just dies on death saving, they just die, they get stabbed, you could still revive them after 10 days, right? It's like a 1D, it's like how many ever days is like a D4 plus whatever, I think.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's 10 days plus whatever. Yeah.
Does the group know you have that? That's an interesting question. I don't think we do.
We assume, but we don't truly know.
Wait.
I have
Revivify.
Revivify, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so
that
we know.
brings in a good point, and we got 3 minutes left, but you have to take into account some of your backstory and stuff. Have you ever worked with a cleric before? Have you ever,
Yeah.
had that experience? So you may know, yeah, clerics can do that sort of thing. You just may not know what the spell is or, how
Yeah.
exactly it works.
Yeah.
We're hoping Fran. I think that's why Warwick's not like super uncomfortable with potentially dying, is because I know Griswold can resurrect. I know Caldrum at least can resurrect in one way. So I'm feeling pretty good about
If
being
Griswold
able to
resurrects you, I'm picking you up by your penis and healing you just like that.
I think
Just so we're on
Evan
the
has
same page.
some weird fetish going on here, but
Yep.
with that, I think we should go ahead and call this therapy session. Thanks everybody for
That's
watching.
what does it. That's
we
what
may
does
have
it.
to change this from echo chamber to echo therapy, or chaos therapy. I don't know. But
Chaos
thanks
therapy
everybody.
sounds good.
No, the chaos couch.
The
chaos
chaos couch.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Now, I imagine you'd have to take an action to doff his armor.
Oh, it's more than that.
It's like 10 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Thanks everybody,
30
and we'll see you
seconds.
Sunday.